The Antikythera mechanism, the computer that sank 2,000 years ago, packed over 30 bronze gears so precise that nothing this complex would appear again for another 1,400 years. But the strangest part of this story isn't the shipwreck, it's a shelf. The oldest computer ever made wasn't lost for 2,000 years at the bottom of the sea. It was lost on a shelf in a museum for almost 50. Divers pulled it up in 1901. Experts held it in their hands, and then they set it down again and looked away. A corroded lump of bronze, not even worth the dusting. Tonight we walk back to that shelf, back to the storm that started everything, the harbor the ship never reached, and the quiet afternoon a single man finally leaned in close. This is the story of the oldest computer on Earth, and of the 50 years it spent ignored by the very people who owned it. So settle in. There's no hurry here. The bronze waited 2,000 years in the dark. We can take the long way in. You don't need to remember a single date. Just walk with me. Picture the room where it slept and the light that never reached it. Begin in the spring of 1900. A crew of Greek sponge divers is sailing home from the fishing grounds off North Africa. A storm rises across the Aegean and they tuck in behind a small bare island called Antikythera, between Crete and the mainland. They drop anchor and wait for calmer water. To pass the time, one diver goes down in a heavy canvas suit and a copper helmet, air pumped from the deck above. Nearly 60 meters down, in the green half-dark, he finds the seabed littered with shapes. Bronze arms, marble faces, a whole cargo of statues lying where they fell. He surfaces shaking, barely able to speak. The others think the pressure has muddled him. It hasn't. He has just found one of the richest shipwrecks in the whole Mediterranean. And somewhere in that broken field of marble, unnoticed, lies a small, dull box of bronze. The year is 1900, and no one aboard yet knows what they have touched. The wind is still blowing, the anchor chain groaning against the swell. Over the following months, into 1901, the divers return with help from the Greek Navy. The work is brutal and cold. Men go down again and again into the dark, hauling up bronze and marble on ropes. One diver dies. 2 more are left paralyzed by the bends, a danger no one yet fully understands. Slowly the ship gives up its treasure. Life-sized statues of gods and athletes, glass, coins, fine furniture. The bronze youth of Antikythera, a young man who will one day stand in Athens. All of it flows to the National Archaeological Museum. And the scholars crowd around the statues, the marble and bronze faces of a lost world. That is the treasure. That is what everyone came to see. Meanwhile, in a tray of smaller, uglier pieces pushed to one side, sits a green lump about the size of a book. Corroded, cracked, forgotten almost before it is understood. It was, at the time, one of the largest recoveries of ancient art ever attempted from the sea. Every crate that reached the dock carried a face that had not seen the sun in centuries. The months pass. The lump dries out in the warm museum air, and as it dries, it splits open. In May of 1902, an archaeologist named Valerios Stais is sorting through the smaller finds. He turns the broken bronze in the light, and there, inside it, he sees something that should not be there. A gear wheel, teeth cut into metal, precise and deliberate and machine-made. Stais knows exactly what a gear is. He also knows this ship sank around the 1st century before Christ. Those 2 facts refuse to sit together. Gears like this belong to clockwork, and mechanical clocks are still more than 1,000 years away. Stais writes it down. He even suggests it might be some kind of astronomical instrument. And then quietly, the idea is set aside. Too strange, too advanced. It felt easier to believe the gear had fallen in later than to believe the Greeks had made it. A few lines in a notebook, and then silence for half a lifetime. The bronze went back into its drawer, and the drawer went back into the dark. So the bronze goes back on the shelf, and there it stays. Through one world war and then another, scholars walk past it for decades. The problem is simple and very human. The mechanism is too good. Nothing else from the ancient world looks anything like it. No other gears, no blueprints, no second example anywhere. When a single object contradicts everything you think you know, the safe choice is to assume the object is somehow wrong. So they assume. Maybe it drifted onto the wreck from a later ship. Maybe it's a scrap of some old clock. Anything but the truth. And all the while, the real thing sits in a case in Athens, its gears locked in green corrosion, waiting. We know now they were there the entire time, the oldest computer on Earth, catalogued, numbered, and completely misunderstood. The sea had kept it for 2,000 years. The museum nearly lost it in 50. Certainty, it turns out, is a very comfortable place to hide a miracle, a treasure mislabeled by the people best equipped to know its worth. Then, in 1951, a man finally leans in close. His name is Derek de Solla Price, a British historian of science, later a professor at Yale. He does not accept the easy answer. He looks at these corroded fragments and asks the question everyone had stepped around. What if it is exactly what it appears to be? He can't simply pry it open. The metal is too fragile and the gears are buried inside solid crust. So he tries something no one had. He looks straight through it. X-rays. Radiographs that turn the green lump transparent and print its hidden teeth onto film. And what develops in the darkroom stops him cold. Gear upon gear upon gear. Wheels inside wheels, more than 30 of them, meshed together in the dark for 2,000 years. Not a clock, not a stray fragment. A calculator, and every single tooth had been sitting on that shelf, countable, since 1901. 50 years of dust, undone in a single afternoon of looking properly. On the film, the past finally looked back, sharp and undeniable and Greek. So what had the Greeks actually built? Turn a small handle on the side, and the whole machine comes alive. The gears move the way the sky moves. One pointer tracks the sun through the year, another follows the moon, and a little turning ball even shows its phase, black to bright and back again. The evidence suggests it also carried the 5 planets known to the ancients, though just how completely it did so is still debated. Dials on the back count the months across a 19-year cycle, the rhythm that keeps sun and moon in step. You set the date, and the heavens answer. It is a working model of the cosmos that you can hold in 2 hands and gently crank. 2,000 years ago, someone in the Greek world compressed the motion of the entire sky into a box of bronze. And then, one afternoon, they lost it in a storm. A hand-cranked sky, built while Rome was still learning to conquer. Sun, moon, and calendar all obeying the turn of one modest little crank. But the piece that still gives researchers a chill is the eclipse dial. Around one long spiral, tiny letters mark the very months when the sun or moon might darken. The machine doesn't only tell time, it predicts. It reaches years into the future and says, in this month, expect a shadow. To do that, its makers folded a cycle the Babylonians had measured over centuries into a train of turning gears. Who built it? We still do not know for certain. Historians debate whether it came from Rhodes, from the school of the astronomer Hipparchus, or from Corinthian hands further west. We aren't even sure there was ever only one. A device this refined rarely springs from nothing. Somewhere behind it stand workshops, teachers, and earlier attempts, all of them now lost. This is the single survivor of a tradition that vanished, the one that happened to slip into the sea and so was saved. One survivor standing in for everything the sea did not choose to keep. Behind this one machine stands a whole lost workshop we will never visit. And here the story turns and the light begins to fade, because after the Antikythera mechanism, the trail simply goes cold. The ship that carried it sank around the middle of the 1st century before Christ. Whoever knew how to make such a thing did not pass the knowledge on, or those who tried are lost to us now. The workshops closed, the teachers died, the gears stopped being cut. For the next 1400 years, nothing this complex is built again anywhere on Earth that we know of. Not in Rome. Not through the long centuries that follow. The idea just stops. When geared clocks finally return in medieval Europe, they are inventing it all over again, from the very beginning, with no memory that it had ever been done before. A whole branch of human genius, blooming once, in secret, and then quietly pruned away by time. Progress, we like to think, only ever moves forward. This bronze quietly disagrees. Somewhere, a craft was perfected, and then simply allowed to disappear. There is a smaller loss folded inside the larger one. Even after it was saved from the sea, the mechanism was very nearly lost a second time. Not to storm or to rust, but to certainty. To the quiet confidence of experts who already knew what the ancient world could and could not do. For 50 years, the most important object in that museum was the one no one wanted to look at. It took no new dig and no lucky dive to rescue it. It took only a change of mind. Someone willing to trust the evidence over the assumption. That is the strange, gentle lesson underneath all the bronze. The hardest thing to see is often the thing already in your own hands. The mechanism didn't hide from us at the bottom of the Aegean. It hid in plain sight, on a shelf, behind our own certainty. The rarest discoveries are sometimes made by finally believing what you already hold. We had catalogued the answer and shelved it, waiting for our own eyes to open. The story doesn't end with Price. In the 2000s, a new team returned to the same broken fragments with machines he could only have dreamed of. A purpose-built scanner, larger than a car, sending three-dimensional X-rays through 8 tons of equipment to read the crust from the inside. And on those scans, hidden in the corrosion, they found writing. Thousands of tiny Greek letters, a kind of instruction manual etched across the plates. Words describing the planets. Names of months from a Corinthian calendar. The mechanism, it turned out, had been trying to explain itself the whole time. We had simply never been able to read it. Fragment by fragment, across more than 80 surviving pieces, the machine is still being decoded today. 2,000 years after it sank beneath the waves, we are only now catching up to what its makers already understood. The Antikythera mechanism had written its own manual and waited for us to learn to read it. Even now, new letters surface from the crust, and the reading is not finished. So what do we finally take from a box of drowned bronze? That genius is fragile. That knowledge is not a ladder we only ever climb. It can be dropped and forgotten and lost for 1,000 years. The Antikythera mechanism is proof that the ancient world reached higher than we let ourselves imagine, and proof of how easily that reach can vanish. Here is the line worth keeping, lost not at sea but on a shelf, held by the very people who might have understood it, set down as worthless and left to gather dust, while the answer sat quietly inside it. The sea protected it for 2,000 years. We nearly undid that in 50. What survived the storm very nearly did not survive our own certainty. The storm was never the real danger. The forgetting was. Everything the makers knew survived in metal and almost not in memory. Tonight the mechanism rests in Athens under soft museum light. Its gears are still now, greened and quiet. Behind glass, the oldest computer on Earth keeps the shape it was given more than 2,000 years ago. Somewhere in that stillness sit the 30-some gears that started everything, teeth so precise nothing would match them for 1,400 years. They turned once, under a Greek hand, to show someone the moving sky. Then the sea took them. Then a shelf nearly took them again. And still somehow they are here. The bronze remembers what we forgot. 2,000 years, and the smallest wheel still knows how to move. Turn the handle, and the sky still moves.